World Fight Products Interviews is pleased to be joined today with Mark the Machine Hominick. Mark, you had an impressive win on the Affliction band card. Tell us about your thoughts on this bout.
Well, it was a big fight because I was fighting someone in the top 10, because that's my goal now, is to make it into that top 10. I always want to fight tough guys, and I took him out. He was a very strong guy, but I knew I have a lot more skills, more well-rounded, and I just had to show that in the fight, because I think he thought that once we hit the ground, he'd kind of dictate how the fight went, and he got surprised when I worked a couple sweeps and ended up getting the submission.
Affliction's seen as an upstart organization trying to rival the UFC. With pay-per-view numbers pretty low, what do you think the organization needs to do to make it more appealing to a bigger fan base? I
think right now, anybody who's going to compete with the UFC has to bring something different. They can't come with the same product that the UFC is coming with, because you can see, anyone who, if you're going to go head-to-head with the UFC with the exact same product, people are going to pick the UFC. So you have to bring something different. And Affliction kind of has this kind of rock star feel. It does look different. They've got Golden Boy involved. They got Donald Trump involved. So they've got the right partners to make it big. And I think that's what the big thing is, kind of differentiate themselves from the UFC.
They seem to be losing whack loads of money right now in their first two promotions. How do you think they're going to offset that, or what can they do to generate more income?
The first thing is just putting on big fights, because that's what people want to see. And like I was saying before, a lot of people trying to compete with the UFC by maybe putting a UFC veteran or a former UFC champ to kind of be the headline of the company, where the Affliction, they have the #1 heavyweight in the world, but they also have 6 or 7 other former UFC champs and a lot of up-and-comers as well. So I think that's going to play a big part. But they knew going in, their first 3 shows, they weren't going to make any money. They're getting their name out. They're kind of showing their product, and their numbers have went up from the first show to the second show. So I think that's kind of showing where the show's going. So I hope hopefully it continues to grow.
You recently were forced to withdraw from their last card. What was the extent of your illness?
Well, I ended up getting pneumonia. I was down in Vegas training full time. I was getting ready for the Affliction Day of Reckoning card, and I ended up getting I had a fever. I thought I'd just kind of let it run its course, and then turned into bronchitis, and then ended up getting to pneumonia. And I was training full out. I was training 2-hour practices a day with it, and it just kept getting worse, and I just couldn't recover. So obviously, there's no lungs, you can't fight. So it was very disappointing, but we definitely made the right choice, because it took me about 6 to 7 weeks to fully recover from it.
When do you expect to be 100% fit again?
Well, about 2 weeks ago, I started training full time. Take me about 8 weeks to get back into where I'm in fight shape. So now I'm just pushing to get that threshold again.
Are you still in the contract with Affliction?
I have 3 fights with Affliction, so I have 2 remaining. So I'm looking to make a splash there. I think one more big fight, another win, and then put me in line for a title for the WAMA 145 belt. And that's always my goal. I want to fight the best guys and the best organizations, and that's what Affliction's bringing.
Is there any word on your next bout?
Right now, I'm looking to fight in Montreal in April, and then I'll be for sure in July with the next Affliction show. Hopefully against LC Davis, who was supposed to fight last time, and he ended up winning, putting on a good performance. So I think that's going to make a great fight for the 2 of us.
You held the TKO title in the past. How much of a setback for Canadian MMA is it to see that organization come to a close? Well,
they started George St. Pierre's career, David Wazos, Jonathan Goulet, Patrick Cote, Sam Stout, myself, Chris Horodecki. That is the organization in Canada that took Canadians to the forefront, to the UFC, to the Affliction, to these big shows. So it's definitely, it's a shame for the up-and-coming fighters. Obviously the guys who are champions in organizations, they've made it to the big show, and they kind of use that as a springboard. But it's devastating for up-and-comers. But now they're, the shows like XMMA and MFC, so 2 big Canadian shows that are putting on great shows, and I think hopefully they take place where TKO started. Because right now MFC's got to deal with HDNet, they're putting on big fights, and XMMA is really trying to make a splash, heading to the Bell Center, which is a big statement.
What does the average training day consist of for you?
When I'm training, I normally train 2-hour practices a day. In the morning, I work on my strength conditioning and jiu-jitsu technique and light rolling. And then our afternoon practice is all our contact. So we do all our sparring, whether it's jiu-jitsu, wrestling, stand-up sparring, or MMA. So we have 2-hour practices. They're very, very grueling, 6 days a week.
When you're not training, what cheat foods would you indulge in?
Pardon me?
When you're not training, what cheat foods would you indulge in?
There's definitely some pizza and candy on the list there.
How did your affiliation with Adrenaline Training Center come about?
Well, our trainer, Sean Tompkins, he was the forefront for all of our careers, and he ran Team Tompkins, and that's we still fight under Team Tompkins, but we had that gym for almost 10 years here in the city of London, and when he moved to Extreme Couture in Las Vegas to be the head trainer for Randy Couture's gym, we had to do something with the gym, and we all decided it was time to put some money and time and effort to build a new center, so we could start creating champions of our own, and have a great facility. And since we've done that, it's been fantastic. We have Fitz Vanderpool teaching boxing here. We have Rowan Cunningham teaching jiu-jitsu. We have great wrestling instructors. So everyone's coming together, and this is, I would say, Rivals top 3 facilities in all of Canada. So we're pretty excited and happy about it.
What advice would you give to an up-and-coming junior trying to breaking into MMA right now?
I think a lot of people try and rush into it, thinking about getting into the first fight is the big thing. But I think the training is the biggest. Get a good aspect of every aspect of martial arts, because now where the sport is now, you can't be one-dimensional. So you can't go in there with just a boxing background or just a wrestling. You have to put in the time to learn all the areas, because otherwise you're going to get left in the dust, and you never want to start off your career on the wrong foot. So just take the time and don't rush into it. I think that's the biggest thing.
Give us your prediction for today's main event bout between Diego Sanchez and Joe Stevenson.
I love Joe, a training partner down in Vegas, but I think Diego's going to be a little too much with the pace he sets, because he was incredible pace and conditioning at 170. So I think at 55 he's going to be a terror. I think he could hang with anybody just with the pace and ferocity that he fights with.
On behalf of Will Fight Products, we'd like to wish you a speedy recovery, and hopefully we'll see you back in the octagon
I appreciate
soon.
you coming out to the gym here.
Thank you.